Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how I went from this image to this image in Photoshop. Alright guys, my name is Philip and let's jump right into Photoshop. So the first thing I want to do, I don't care about the color, so let's just get rid of it, right? Let's create a new layer by either clicking on the little, new layer symbol in the lower right, or by hitting Command+Alt+Shift+N for new layer. Good, so now that we have done that, I'm going to hit G on my keyboard, which will, in this case, unfortunately bring up the gradient tool. I want the paint bucket tool. I'm going to select a nice brown color, something like that here. I'm just going to paint in there. And I'm going to change the blending mode from normal down to hue. Boom, that gives me, brings me 90% the way, color-wise, where I want it to go. Brilliant. So now that's that done, let's create another new layer by hitting Command-Alt-Shift+N, right? Get the brush. And with an opacity of, let's say, maybe 20% is not bad at all. You can just hit the numbers on your keyboard, 20 for like 2 for 20, 3 for 30, 4 for 40. And if you press them very fast and like in a row, then you have 4, 5, which makes 45. So let's hit 2 to get 20% opacity. Change the blending mode of this layer down to overlay. And let's paint with black first. And I want to just darken some areas. I want to lighten some areas. Okay. So let's go in there and especially look at this ruin type of thing, whatever it is. Cool, I like that. So let's paint black like here and make that a bit darker. Actually, you know what? We're going to make that brighter. Yeah, let's do that. Let's hit X on the keyboard. That'll bring up white. So we're going to increase the brightness on the side here. And then hit X to get black. And we're going to decrease the brightness in the... I don't even know how to call those. Inner parts of the ruin, I guess. Okay, good. And let's zoom out and see how that looks if we look at the before and the after. Yeah, I like that. Cool. And let's bring some darkness actually around these windows as well. And you can obviously completely play with that whatever you feel like. It's a very, brightness stuff and things is always a bit of a subjective thing anyway. Okay, that's that. And let's bring some brightness into this part of the building. Why not? Why wouldn't we? And with 10% and a massive brush, maybe not that massive, I'm just going to go over that wall right here. Something like that. And also a couple of times over here. And let's see, have a look here, and maybe darken down these ones as well. Just a little bit. Cool. Then I'm going to hit Command and T on my keyboard. I'm going to hit the little symbol up here, which allows me to have a warp mode. All right. So what I can do now, I can just grab one of these corners and drag it up. Which in this case, of course, doesn't make sense because remember, I have the layer mask, the new layer selected. So in this case, I don't want it on the layer. So let's just hit Escape. I'm going to do a stamp visible by hitting Command-Alt-Shift and E on the keyboard, and that'll copy everything we see basically on the new layer. And now I can hit Command and T, click the little symbol, grab the corner, and bring it up. And I want the what is that, voltage line thingy to be exactly in the corner, right? So once I have done that, I'll just hit OK in this sense. Good. And did I hit it? Yes, I did. It has to think. It seriously has to think. Amazing. Okay, so that's the first step. We have our color at least 80% of the way there, and we have done a little bit of dodging and burning. And now let's see what we have to do next. Probably work on the sky. Now, before we do that, let's just make the whole image a bit more crisp, right? Why wouldn't we? So I'm going to go to Filter up here. I'm going to go to Camera Raw Filter, and I'm just going to increase, should it ever show up, do it right now. Okay, I'm going to increase the clarity to maybe something like that. Once done, I'm just hitting OK. That is quite awesome. So if you look at the before and after, even from a distance like that, you'll see that there's quite a difference in the crispness, if that is a word. I'm always wondering if that is a word. I don't even know. I have to look it up at some point. And the whole image just is so much more crisp, right? So much beautiful. Good. Okay, so now that we have done that, let's work on the sky a little bit. Let's do a curve adjustment layer and decrease the brightness to something like that, maybe. I'm going to inverse that by hitting Command and I on the keyboard. And I'm going to paint with B, with my brush, so hit B on the keyboard. I'll paint with white and an opacity of, say, 50%, and I'll bring through that, darkened sky wherever I want it. And as I said, it's a darkened sky, so I don't want it anywhere else other than in the sky. Okay, good. I might be here a little bit more. And let's have a look. Maybe here a bit more. Okay. So if you hold Alt and you click on the layer mask, it'll show you what you have painted on that layer mask, and you can always see if you missed spots or not. It's kind of handy. Okay, so now that we have done that, let's bring down the saturation of this patch over here, right? Because it's far too saturated. So what we can do, we're just going to create a hue saturation layer and bring down the saturation to maybe something like that. Okay, let's close that up again, like that, and inverse that by hitting Command and I, and with an opacity of, let's stick with 50%. We're just going to bring the saturation down on this area right here, right? And maybe with an opacity of 30% and a huge brush, we're going to do the same thing just a tiny bit in the sky here. Okay, that doesn't look bad at all. Well, how about we do it here as well? Just a tiny bit and a bit more here. Okay, that's not bad. Good, liking that a lot. So now words Philip has still to learn to speak. Let's create a stamp visible by hitting Command-Alt-Shift+N-E on the keyboard, which will copy everything we can see onto a new layer, right? And then we're going to go to Filter, and I'm going to use my usual, now apparently usual Nicollection filter, which is going to be the Tonal Contrast. It's just so easy to do it with this Nicollection. Nicollection is free. If you haven't downloaded it, I guess, already, do it. I can strongly recommend doing it. Pre-processing, yes, that's fine. Tell me what you're doing. It's grand. And let's go down. Tonal contrast right here. And in this instance, I know that it's a little bit too much for the image, so we do not need it everywhere. But I do have a wanted on certain spots. So let's just hit right and let it think for about 5 seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah, damn it. All right, I'm going to bring it back once it's done, guys. And we're back, and I just had time for a coffee because it took forever. Okay, now that's that done. I'm going to create a layer mask, of course, by just clicking the little Japanese flag down here, and I'm going to zoom in to the clouds first of all, right? Because I kind of like the effect. Don't worry about this super noise. We're going to deal with that later. So let's inverse that layer mask by hitting Command and I on the keyboard, and with an opacity of 30%, I'll just bring back the effect right here, right? Just here a little bit. And then let's go down and see if we hold Shift and click on the layer mask, it's gonna be hidden. Okay, I'm actually gonna bring it. I know it's far too colorful down here. Do not worry about that. I'm gonna bring it down out down here as well, just a little bit, just like that. Okay, let's see if we like anything else. Well, maybe here. No, in this instance, maybe not too much, but I know I'm gonna like it a little bit up here. Yeah, let's just do it here, right? I'll actually use 100% opacity and bring it out just here. Maybe here on the sides as well. Just gonna give the whole thing a bit more contrast, which is why it's called tonal contrast. Cool. Okay, what's it doing with you? Okay, that's not bad. Good, I'm like that. Good, and apparently you can see that, right? This part is far too bright. So when you look at the image, you don't even know where to look first because there is no real point of attention. So let's change that. We're going to create a curve adjustment layer and bring it down. Oh yeah, down to something. Maybe that's a bit extreme, but maybe here. Oh, why wouldn't we? Let's close that again, hit Command and I on the keyboard to inverse that. Make a nice and big brush, do something like that, and with an opacity of 50%, we're going to bring the darkness to the area down here. We do not need it that bright. Okay, something like that. And let's just double click on this and see if we have to, or if we can bring it down further. Just something like this, maybe that's not bad. It's cooling the image a lot. Good, and there's still a bit too much color for my taste over here, so what we can do, we're just going to create another hue saturation layer and decrease the saturation to maybe something like that. Inverse that, of course, and with an opacity of 50%, I'll just click once like here and once over there, and that just takes out a little bit of that fire, and maybe a bit over here, and also hue. Okay, that's not bad at all. So now let's see if we can get rid of a little bit of that stuff and things up here. So I'm going to create a stamp visible by hitting Command-Alt-Shift+E, which is going to copy everything you can see onto a new layer, right? And I'm going to go to Filter and Camera Raw Filter, because it's, again, a very simple way or an easy way to get rid of noise. We're going to go to Detail, and we're going to go to Noise Reduction. So let's zoom in to the point where we think there's the most noise. And having a guess, I'd say that is pretty strong noise. So let's go a step further, something like this. And just, I guess we have to go all the way, right? Don't we? And even then, let's bring down the detail. Yes, we have to go. Okay. No big deal. Let's go to something like this. That should do the trick. Let's hit OK. And it's going to have to think. Perfect. It thought, and it did it. Brilliant. So why do I like that, and why do I want the effect in the whole image? Well, the reason for that is that it gives, or it makes the clouds kind of soft, right? So if you look at the before, kind of hard, and that makes them kind of soft. And I do like that. And if it's that easy, why wouldn't you, right? So let's create a layer mask by hitting the layer mask symbol and zoom out, and with a nice and big brush and an opacity of 100%, and actually an inverse layer mask because we don't want it everywhere, right? I'm just going to paint the effect into the clouds like that. Okay, like here and like there, and let's go back here as well. Again, I'm doing a very quick job right now. If you are doing this, you want to make sure you're going in between the buildings, blah, 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 and these kind of things. But for now, that shall do it, right? Let's go here, and there, and this. Okay, perfect, good, nice. Okay, so now we have a nice effect in the clouds. So a couple of more things I would like to do. I want some different colors, well, at least one different color as well. And I want to enhance the sky maybe a little bit further. So that's going to be the next steps. Okay. Before doing anything else, let's get some more contrast in these trees back here, right? So let's create a stamp visible by hitting Command-Alt-Shift and E. That's Command-Alt-Shift and E on your keyboard, and changing its blending mode from normal down to overlay. And once you have done that, just use a, no, that's the wrong one. We do not want you. Use a curve adjustment layer, increase the brightness a lot. I'm just looking at the trees right here, right? So yeah, actually that's not bad at all. Make that small again, and make sure that you clip that. So you just want this adjustment to affect the overlay layer we have just created. You can do this by, well, easily actually by hitting Command, Alt, and G. Okay, and it'll clip that thing to the layer beneath. Or what you can do as well, there's a little symbol here, and if you click this, it's going to clip it to the layer beneath. My words today are horrible. To the layer beneath. Awesome. Good. Let's go to the layer actually and create a layer mask by hitting the layer mask symbol, and then invert that layer mask to hide the effect. And I'm just going to bring it out in the trees themselves, right? For this, I'm going to use a brush and white color with an opacity of about 20% maybe. I'm just going to go over that a couple of times, maybe something like this. Okay, and maybe down here as well. And let's just undo this down here as well. Okay. Now, what I will also do, I will select some of these plants and do the same thing right here. So I'm going to bring them out of the wall just a little bit. Okay, something like that maybe. Yeah. Okay, so that they're basically, shining a little bit, if that makes any sense. Also, you, stone, you have to be a little bit shiny. Okay, yeah, and you, why wouldn't you? And maybe even that thing, whatever that is. Good, so that's not bad at all. Okay, I can live with this one. So let's create another stamp visible, and let's use another one of the amazing Nick filters. So there is one which I actually don't know how to reproduce really. Let's go to Color Effects Pro. But the thing is, I haven't even tried, just because the effect is there. Like, it's a filter, you just run it and you're a happy person. So let's see, the effect is called the Glamour Glow. And once the pre-processing of the image has been completed, we may have a look at it. Awesome, thank you. So the Glamour Glow is right here, and I'm just gonna make it like that, and I'm gonna increase that glow. And in this instance, I'm looking at clouds and water. And if I have something like this, I'm a very happy person. So I'll just increase the glow, and let's see what that did. Again, as usual, I'm gonna bring it back. Once I had a coffee, dinner, and maybe another coffee, so it's gonna take a minute. And hooray, and it did it. Okay, so of course I don't want this to be visible everywhere, but I do like the effect just in the water and also in the sky, and even a little bit on the building. I think it gives it a nice touch and a nice feeling. So let's create a layer mask as usual. Invert that layer mask by hitting Command and I on the layer on the keyboard. You can also try to hit Command and I on the layer mask, but you won't find the buttons. So let's go and paint that in with white and an opacity of say 50%. I'm just going to bring it through just over here, right? And maybe a little bit over there as well. Okay, that's not bad. And now I'm just going to look at the water, and I'm going to bring it out in the water, even with 100% opacity, because I really liked it in the water. Okay, just like that. And I'm going to make it nice and big, and with an opacity of 30%, I'll bring it back in the building as well. Okay, just like that. So now let's see what that did before and after. Yeah, it makes the whole thing just so much softer, and I kind of like that as well. Good, so we are getting there. There's just one thing which bugs me all the time. Let's create a curve adjustment layer, bring it down to something like maybe that. Close it, invert it by hitting Command and I, and with an opacity of 30%, let's darken that damn corner here. It makes me nuts. Okay. And you don't want to go away? See this little bright blob in the corner? I hate it. So let's hit Command-Alt-Shift+N-E, create a stamp visible, and then hit J on the keyboard. Zoom in, and J is going to be your spot healing brush tool. Let's increase the size of that spot healing brush tool, and I'll do this. Be gone, white thing, whatever you were. Okay, fair enough. Good. That just focuses the attention a little bit more on the center of the image rather than the bottom here where there's nothing, right? Good. So now let's bring in some more interesting color. And I'm a big friend of color. So the way to do this, or one way of doing it at least, one way I like to do it, is by creating a new layer. So I'm going to this time click on the new layer symbol. I'm going to hit G on my keyboard, bringing up my bucket tool. I'm going to select a random color such as blue. Why blue? We shall see in a second. And I'm going to go from normal blending mode down to hue, and I'm going to use a layer mask and inverse that layer mask by hitting Command and I on the keyboard. I'm going to get my brush with B, make the brush a bit smaller, and set the opacity to about 40%. Now, a bit smaller maybe. So what I will do now, I will select certain areas and I'll just paint the blue through. And you may ask, like, what the hell are you just doing there? And let's make the brush maybe a bit harder, something like this. And it will all make sense in just a couple of minutes. So let's just paint blue maybe here. And why not you? You could be blue as well, and like a little bit down here. And then let's zoom in a bit more, make that smaller, and paint you blue right there. And why wouldn't we paint also blue this stone right here? And these stones right here. Good, good. And this. So these were the plants, at least some of them, which I have brought out before. You remember we had the overlay layer, which sort of made them stand out just a bit more, right? And I kind of like that. Okay, let's paint those blue right here. Again, I'm not too precise right now, as you possibly will see or can see. You should definitely be blue, as should you. Okay, so now before I continue, I'll show you. Ooh, that was definitely the wrong thing. Press the button. Okay, I'll show you why I'm actually doing that, or what the hell am I doing. So I'm gonna, with this layer selected, or even if not, doesn't matter. I'm gonna create a hue saturation layer, clip it to this layer. I'm just going to change its hue, and now I'm going to select a color which I think fits into this apocalyptic scene, right? So let's zoom in. I'm just going to look over here now. I'm looking for like a mixture of a brown and a yellow, I guess, something like that. So it shouldn't be too healthy. Yeah, something like this. This is a very beautiful color. It's a mixture of a brown and yellow greenish thing, right? And I love it so bad. It is brilliant. Okay. So let's close it again and go back to my layer mask. And now that I know how it looks, I'm just going to hit number 1 on my keyboard, which is an opacity of 10 on the brush in the end. I'm just going to combine certain areas, maybe a little bit here. And I'm going to, blend it in just a bit like so. Where else do we like it? Maybe even these plants here in the foreground. Maybe they're not as dead as the rest of that imaginative landscape. Okay, that's not bad at all. And even you don't look dead, do you? Okay, okay, good. So you see what I just did there, right? I just added some of the, well, I mean, still not live colors because there is still a bit of brown and yellow and stuff within these bushes and stuff, but it still looks a bit more vibrant, a bit more alive, which is not bad, right? Okay, so that's a neat little way of doing that. I think lastly, because that is basically all I did to create this image, let's create another stamp visible by hitting Command-Alt-Shift+N-E. We're just going to copy everything you can see onto a new layer. I'm going to go to the camera raw filter. I'm just going to do some vignetting. Yes, of course, you can do vignetting manually, but this tool is just, so we go to FX for effects, and here we can just decide the amount of our vignetting. Maybe something like that is not bad. Let's choose the midpoint. Okay, maybe that. Roundness, I don't even know. Let's just switch on the feather. Oh yeah, why wouldn't we do something like that? Okay, let's just hit OK. I don't need much, just a tiny bit, just a notch, right? Before and after, just to draw the attention of the viewer basically to the center of the image. Cool, and that is essentially how I created this image. Alright guys, thank you very much for watching. If you did like the video, please do not forget to hit the thumbs up button. And I also would greatly appreciate if you would subscribe to the channel to get more weekly Photoshop stuff and things action. Again, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye!